Before we get started, I would appreciate if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. You have to understand that the powers that be are not going to make this easy for us by telling us and to just go and buy these X assets, as they will be leveraging them via their interlinking systems in cross-border payments. They're not going to come out and say that to us. Instead, even when they talk about interlinking payment systems and cross-border payments, sometimes they completely even ignore the DOT-based RTGS payment systems as a potential option. And they do that all the time. They ignore it. And they mention all these other solutions, but the solution. And I think it's deliberate why they do this on their part, because they are fully aware of what DOT-based tech offers them. It's not like they're ignorant. It's not like they're not aware of what Ripple has to offer. They are fully aware of what these systems have to offer, but they are deliberately not mentioning it in their documents. Because think about it. What do you think would happen if they just come out and say, oh yeah, we're going to be leveraging the DOT-based RTGS Ripple system for all our cross-border payments, and we're going to be using it to interlink FedNow with all the other instant domestic payment systems around the world, and we're going to be using IBM WorldWire to do the same thing for our retail payments and for the FedWire and the CHAPS and all the major high-value payment systems. We're going to be leveraging Ripple. What do you think is going to happen to these X assets if they were to come out and tell us that right now? So that's why they're not telling us this. Instead, they just leave ambiguous information out there, and we are just putting the dots together to coming up to the conclusion that yes, they're going to be using this, even though they're not telling us this outright. So this is why if you are holding the X assets, you need to be steadfast, have a long-term vision, be thick-skinned, be able to hold through the FUD and market crashes, or when prices don't increase when you expect them to, because in the end, these assets, these X assets, are not for retail investors, but institutions. And when they decide to flip the switch and utilize them whenever they wish, only those that truly had the patience until then would benefit from it, potentially speaking. Most retail investors won't make it, unfortunately. And that's the reality. Most retail investors are just not going to make it, because it's a long game and it requires lots of patience. This is why people have to be patient. You have to be thick-skinned, you have to have long-term vision, you have to be steadfast, and you can't fall for the FUD. And just think about this for a second. If November comes, because we know in November ISO 20022 is going to go live in the Eurozone and with SWIFT and so on. Now, if November comes and the price of the X assets did not budge, then what? What are you going to do? At this stage, the FUD would be intense if that happens. So what are you going to do? Are you selling or holding strong? And that's the difference basically between retail investors who will make it and those who wouldn't in this space. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so as to not miss my next video. Take care and goodbye.